Howdy, folks. Welcome again to another episode of RPM. That's the Red Peace Machine. I am joined again by our friends Susie Sheeler, by Ramesh Nadeem, also by Roy Casagranda, and Banafshe Madinejad. So, thank you. We're tuned. How's everyone doing today? I was gone last week, but I do want to say, great episode. And also that I appreciate you guys, speaking on the subject of Israel and Palestine again, because we can't talk about that enough, you know what I mean? And I watch a lot of Black media, and I wasn't here to give, my Black perspective, but I would say, we are in solidarity, and all over Black media, it's all about, standing up for Palestinian rights. So I appreciate that. Yeah. And then, for the check-in, how you doing,
Awesome.
Susie? How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm, making it just like I think everybody else. I'm still dancing on that line of is it okay to go outside? And if so, how protected do I need to be? Just like everybody else. But I am going to miss the days when I can say, oh, I can't because there's COVID. That's gonna suck.
I'd love to show up at your party, but no.
Dang. And then Ramesh, how are you? How have you been?
Doing well. It's been a long week, busy week, so excited for rest over the course of the next couple days.
Yeah. Dang.
Wait, Ramesh, you're still in Mexico, right?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you exactly?
Still in Mexico City, north of the Roma neighborhood. We actually went to a museum of state violence yesterday. There's a family home that the little family had converted into a museum of state violence, documenting government reaction to the student protests in the 60s.
I was going to say,
and then all sorts of stuff since. Yeah, really haunting stuff, really incredible. Thinking a lot about public memory and how folks preserve that over the course of decades, and how it's been eliminated in the United States. We are not allowed to remember things in these kinds of ways, and I think some of the pieces of legislature coming out of the Texas House and Senate reflect that. What parts of our past are we allowed to remember?
I'm laughing when you said that. I laughed because you're there on vacation and that's what you do.
reporting live from Mexico City, Ramesh Nadeem.
When that's what you are, that's what you are.
Yes,
can't help it,
yes,
right?
exactly.
It just comes out.
Mhm.
And then the doctors, how have y'all been?
Doctors.
The doctors are in.
The doctors are in.
And by the way, yes, I could save your life. It's just you're going to end up mangled. And I said could, not I will necessarily.
Yeah. There's some stipulation to that.
Yeah, like the CPR I learned was the kind where you go until the ribs are broken.
Oh yeah. Dang. I thought you still had to do that anyway, at least the rib cage, right?
Yeah, I think you're supposed to break the rib cage. And then you can.
Yeah. If you aren't, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, what do they got to lose if they're dead?
Mm-hmm.
You might as well just go.
Beating the shit out of corpses? I don't understand. So you're supposed to give CPR until their ribs break?
That's the only way you know you're doing it correctly. Is you have to break the rib cage, and then that's when you're pumping the lungs. Yeah, or the heart. Wait, heart.
Well,
yeah.
I'm going to fail probably all of you if that ever
Like,
happens.
I know. I imagine it being a nasty pop, like crack. I'm like, oh, I'm done. I'm done here. But once you start, you have to keep going. Yeah, and then once you start, you pretty much have to keep going, or you're like, and at least until authorities get there, because you've already started it, so you're on the hook at that point to keep going.
Also, a fun trick,
yeah,
a plunger.
Oh,
yeah. Your goal is to keep the lungs moving, whatever means necessary.
It works though?
It can.
Does it work on women with boobs?
It can.
On the mouth. You're putting the shit in
on the mouth, and you go
fucking face.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
But I guess sometimes that
because you have to that suction to pull that started up
Yeah.
again. I guess that makes sense.
I would think you'd need that correct one, the one with that little ring that kind of drops out,
It
not
goes
just the
inside?
standard one, the one that
Yeah.
goes inside. Yeah, you would need that one, right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
The faces, the
It's
faces.
gross.
I would try with the other one though.
Can I tell y'all? Can I tell y'all something about ribs? In my high school health and medical terminology class, I was taught, this became a topic of class discussion. I was taught that men have one less rib than women do.
I was taught the same thing.
Christ.
Well,
That's because you gave us your rib and
Yeah,
made
exactly.
us.
But what I want to know is, do men have an odd number of ribs or do women have an odd number of ribs?
Yeah.
I think anything that's odd is going to be on the male side.
Oh, no.
I don't think that it's all about the way you say it, right? Is the man odd?
Yeah, which is the norm? Which one's
Who's
the norm?
got the wrong problem?
Well, we
That's-
already know that. We already know
I mean,
that.
by default, since women are 51% of the human population, they are the norm.
Dang. And a Benefshe? How are you doing?
Good. Friday was the last day of school in my district. Not officially. We're supposed to go back Tuesday, but fuck that. Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
wow. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks.
Amen.
Yes, this was the year where I figured out that figured out what it means to be year after year a person who pours love and energy into an endless pit, but and what that does to a person. I think we're supposed to do this to become better humans.
Yeah, I think this is part of that PTSD that we're all have already started suffering. We're still in the middle of the stress, but we're all going to go through this sort of collective depressive state where we try to climb out of it and find some kind of meaning in all of this. And I think that, yeah, I think we're all kind of there. I mean, I know my friends and I are all kind of like, now what? You know, it's like we've been shut away for so long. Now, how do you ease back into what's happening? Especially now that the school is out for your kids and stuff, right? So what do you do now? You've just had them at home. What are you gonna do now? Is there more school? Is there?
Yeah, my daughter's already freaking out about that because she's like, yeah, she even wants to like, I gotta sign up for the after school, or I mean for the summer sports programs because she's a social creature. She just likes being around her friends and stuff like that. So yeah, she wants to do something.
She's an only child, so this stuff. I mean, it's never bothered me. I was by myself all the time as a kid, you know, but I know there are a lot of people who aren't independent like that, and they really, really need the back and forth. This is good for me. This right here, we're good. This is good.
Zoom meetings are you're already prepared for them, and you're still ready to do
So
them.
ready, so ready. I can make a Zoom meeting.
Dang. And
Yeah, I guess what I was saying was, I don't see myself doing this long term, but what I'm trying to say is, having done a year of high school teaching, I never understood what teachers did or what it. First of all, they're just better human beings. They really are. They're just better people. If they stick it out, they have to become better people. I'm just in awe, to be honest. So, yeah.
I agree. Yeah, our teachers, I mean, they do amazing work, and they don't get enough for what they do. You know, what I mean, the enough praise or the enough, you know, what I mean, just monetarily or what
It's
anything.
like the cops.
That's crap.
It's just, to me, it's just like the cops. They don't get enough money. They don't get enough training. Oh my God.
They
don't get what they want.
don't get enough, but also and they should, and things must change. But it also changes them to become different humans, better humans, I think.
Yeah. And on that note of teaching, so we have some bills that went through the legislation. One of them including a bill that, pretty much one of the stipulations is it gets rid of critical race theory. Is one part of that. So it's like, hey, these things happened in the past, but you can't blame it on, I guess you can't mention that racial element of, these white people did this thing to, brown people, to, to the Native Americans, to, any other group,
No, we're not going to teach it. We're not going to teach it.
Yeah.
If you stop teaching it, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are y'all thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I just realized something. Tomorrow is the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre. And so as you were talking, I was thinking, isn't that like right now? And so it's tomorrow.
Talk about Memorial Day, right?
Yeah. Oh, wow. I hadn't realized. Is that what we're memorializing? I thought it was soldiers.
Yeah, no, you know how we feel about the blacks in this country. We memorialize them all we can.
Yeah, exactly. So, the idea that you can't talk about racism, and by the way, and sexism, if you're a teacher in Texas, and it applies through primary, secondary school, but also post-secondary school that's funded by the state. So, it eliminates it across the board. It's exactly what you would expect in, say, North Korea or the Islamic Republic of Iran, Russia. Any fascist, nasty tyranny would make a law like this. So we're not going to talk about the past, but we're like that country. Like every once in a while, somebody will come to me and go, "Did you know the Japanese won't own up to what they did in World War II?" And I'm like, really? As an American, you're bringing this up? For real? Like, we've never owned up to what we did with the genocide of the Native Americans and slavery. Shut up. The other thing that people will do is they'll go, the Japanese make their homes out of paper. Really? You're talking about this? Do you not know what a 2x4 stud wall home is with sheetrock? Sheetrock is paper-covered chalk that's been painted.
And it's ugly.
And there's this stupid 2x4 every 16 inches inside the chalk. You've got a chalk wall that's covered in paper, and you're complaining because the Japanese build their house out of paper.
Why won't my TV hang up there?
And so I think there's a lot of desire on the part of Americans to not reflect ever about anything. Like, we don't want to talk about the reality. Like when Americans go, the Saudis make their women cover their hair. What is the rape rate in the United States? 25%? Like, shut the fuck up. Stop looking for others to find out what they're doing wrong when we have so much we need to work on right here. And I think this is just indicative of it. It's crazy. I think the other thing that any outside observer would have to look at with the Texas State Legislature is it's just baffling. We go through a catastrophe where we had 3 degrees temperature Fahrenheit, and a whole state was paralyzed and shut down for what, 10 days? We had no water, we had no electricity. People were literally freezing to death in their homes. I'm sorry, 3 degrees? Like, if it was negative 40, maybe I'd get this. But 3 degrees Fahrenheit? Like during the Russian offensive in Finland in 1939, when they attacked Finland in November, they were experiencing negative 40 degrees. The oil in their tanks was freezing. They had to leave the running all day and all night because they wouldn't be able to start the tank back up if they turned it off. And we get to 3 degrees and we're crippled. We came within 37 seconds of a complete shutdown that would have lasted weeks. What does the state legislature do? Ban conversations about race and sex, try to ban abortion, more voter suppression. Like, Wait, what about the fact that
Guns.
and guns?
Oh yeah.
Now everybody will be able to walk around carrying a gun without a
Whatever they
license
want.
that's
This is
unconcealed.
super exciting for me, is to have everyone strapped in Texas. This is going to be so fun. I mean, it's a fucking tinderbox. Everyone's so angry here. Honestly, I'd rather be in Houston right now than in Austin. People are just on edge here, and it's I don't know. Did you guys see the abortion rights rally at the Capitol?
No, did anybody make it? I saw it. Didn't make
I
it.
didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. But Alan did from People United, and he said it was pretty good turnout. So he's gonna have
Yeah.
that on his show this week. I heard it was pretty good. Will it help? I don't know.
Yeah, I saw
And
pictures.
People
I
United
know.
can be heard on Co-op Radio.
That's right, Co-op, which is 91.7 FM.
That's for those who live in Austin.
Yeah.
Oh, then you can stream
you
it
can-
online.
Oh,
You can
yes.
stream it online. That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
the co-op,
Or you
stream
can
it.
also stream Rag Radio, which is also.
Yes.
Cross promotion.
Right.
Wait, I'm going to drop this RPM on Rag Radio, and we're just going to it's going to be nuts how many people come over and listen to us.
Dang. But yeah, I saw pictures of the rally. It looked like a big turnout, some good
Yeah.
signs, like, yeah. My sister-in-law posted this comment. It had like, it was a Twitter comment, and it said, if God because part of it's like, God doesn't want abortion, but it's like, well, if God doesn't want abortion so much, he needs to come get these kids. I was like, I died laughing.
So what are some specific
Oh, God, that's hilarious.
what are some specific let's talk about what's happened this legislative session. Tomorrow's the last day. I'm just wondering if anything stood out to y'all. Are there things we want to talk about specifically about stuff that passed, that didn't?
So one of the things that stood out for me is the fact that they're basically going to close polling centers in cities like Houston and places like Houston where there's lots of large brown and black populations, and they're going to open up new polling centers in majority white areas. So that's one thing that got through in the legislature. Another thing, and then part of that was nobody will be allowed to pass out water and food to people standing in line to vote. So I think that's interesting.
Something about you can't give, and this is probably way off, but I heard something about helping people get to the polls.
There is also a restriction on how you help people get to the polls. Yes. Yeah. Because and the language they used was they wanted to maintain the purity of the vote. Which
The purity.
Yeah.
Buzzword. Wonder what they mean by that.
Well, it's in the Constitution. It's in the Texas Constitution. So for people who don't realize how the Texas Constitution came into being, is it our 8th or our 9th Constitution? I can't. I'd have to run through it.
I think it's the 9th, because we have more amendments than we have actual Constitution, don't we?
We have. I'm trying to remember the exact number of amendments. I think we've had 666 amendments proposed, and we've passed like 483, something like that. And we have the second most number of amendments. Alabama is in first place. What happened was, after the Civil War in 1869, the federal government created a constitution and imposed it on us during martial law. And a Republican became governor. His name was E.J. Davis. We Texans hated his guts because he was a Republican, and we saw this as outside influence. And also we hated it because the Constitutional Convention that made the Constitution had a large percentage of Black and Latinx, well, they were Mexican, of course, delegates. And that really bothered us, not because they were overrepresented, but because they were actually represented, right? You know what I mean? It was like, oh my God, there's a few brown and Black people on this. We can't have that. And so basically a movement was created by the white population to topple the state government. And in 1875, a constitutional convention was held and a new constitution was drafted. That constitution is the second longest constitution in the United States after Alabama's. It's overly detailed. It's poorly written. There's grammatical errors, there's typos, run-on sentences, fragment sentences. There's a sentence that lasts for pages and nobody knows what it means. It's by overly detailed, like it specifies how big the maximum size of a barrel is. Like it's not something you put in a constitution. That's just preposterous. But they couldn't do anything about it until the botched 1876 election. In 1876,
Wait, are you going to go through all 9 of these?
no, this
Okay,
this is the last 2.
Oh, okay.
In 1876, the Republicans cheated to win the election because they were going to lose to a Democrat. His name was Tilden. And so what happened was Louisiana, Florida, and South Carolina, in a miraculous move, vote Republican. And in return, the Republican Party drops Reconstruction. And so what happens is the white population that wants to topple the Republican government launches a coup, and they literally grab E.J. Davis, who was hiding in a broom closet, out of the Capitol building and haul him out. And they replace out the government with the new government, the 1875 Constitution. And that's how we got our Constitution. Our Constitution was created specifically to create a white government in Texas that eliminated Black and brown voices. And then the next part of it was to create Jim Crow, which took 25 years. It was a quarter century long project to implement Jim Crow. But in the Constitution, it said purity of the vote in that. And of course, what they meant was purity of the white race, purity of white representation of white states. And in 1935, in Grovey v. Townsend, the Supreme Court ruled that you could have white-only primaries in Texas. And one of the reasons they did was because it said purity of the vote. And so it was really fascinating when a Republican legislator got up in front of the Texas legislature and said purity of the vote. And a Democrat got up and explained to him the loaded racist language that is. And so that they struck that out of the final bill.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that was a major part
And he said he didn't know.
He said he didn't know.
He was like, "Oh, I that's so unfortunate. I didn't realize that."
I didn't realize how racist Texas was, but I
Yeah.
voted to eliminate conversations about race.
And yet I'm going to continue to keep it racist as I possibly can. And so because, and y'all are teachers, and so y'all can help me with this. My mom's not in that world anymore, but when Texas buys textbooks, generally the rest of the country buys those same textbooks because is that not true anymore?
It's not true anymore because of the internet. Yeah, every textbook company now custom makes the textbooks. But if you were to jump into a time machine back to 20 years ago, that was true. Texas, Florida, and California were the textbook designers.
So now it is almost, I mean, it's very, very awful, horrible that we, what we're trying to do and not teach that here. But it could be just a Texas thing, right? I mean, so we aren't going to teach about race, about slavery here in Texas, but everybody else could because they're not teaching from the same books. Does that mean they have a different curriculum?
Well,
Is there a national curriculum?
The way it used to work was if you were a red state, you took the Texas textbook. If you were a blue state, you took the California textbook. And if you were a purple state, you did the Florida textbook. And now that Florida is red and they don't do this anymore. I mean, when I say they don't do this anymore, I'm sure there are some states that just go, you know what, whatever Texas is doing. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. But, like if you're a teacher, you can actually ask the book publisher to custom design your textbook, especially if you have an ebook instead of a physical copy. It's a lot easier for the publisher, but they can put in chapters, take out chapters, rearrange the chapters for us now. It's really amazing.
But then if you're teaching to a test or a curriculum, you have to, there are certain things you can't have in there. Is that right? Like that's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. And then, so in Texas, just to give you an idea, across the state, Manesha probably knows more about this than I do. Various schools have already dumped their critical race classes, and
Yeah.
they're dumping their feminist classes. Because, right, if you're an administrator in Texas, you're a gutless coward worm, and you refuse to stand up to the state.
So I just want to
fight
say
this in the courts.
this is a long time. This has been a process, a long time coming. As of 2019, I was a professor of feminist philosophy and critical race theory. For years, they were trying to get rid of me. And it's not just me. This has been, if there's a woman of color teaching these two subjects, and a lot of us taught it together, they were trying to replace us, and it went into high gear after Trump.
And it wasn't just that the state was trying to replace you, it was the administration at schools trying to replace you.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was, the people who were trying to do this were folks who were liberals. These were not Republicans necessarily, although they were always catering to board of directors that were Republican and funders who were Republicans. And I'm talking about public schools. I'm talking about liberal arts schools that are private. I don't know. I'm just talking about private schools at this moment.
And you're talking about private secondary.
Universities, private universities
that get no funding.
They do not get money from the government. However, the reigning sort of ideology of propertied folk is conservative. It just is. And so if you want money, if you want to remain sustainable, and private liberal arts schools have an issue with this. It's been an issue since Bernie Madoff. Yep. So it is. And so remain sustainable, they have to cater to conservative ideology, and feminism and critical race theory do not have a place in that kind of. And so they keep letting us in, they keep hiring us because the students want it, because it's cutting edge, because it's in the news, because, but at the end of the day, they keep kicking us out when things get heated. When they're like, oh, come on in, this is so cool. And then we like speak. And they're like, oh, no.
That's edgy.
You're stepping out of bounds. Know your place. Trying to put us in our place, it doesn't work. Then the students get involved. No, it's getting too heated. Bye.
Yeah.
And it's a cycle.
They have TikTok. That's what the kids have TikTok these days. I mean, my daughter's always talking about stuff like this, about race, about sexism, about all of these things. And she's like, yeah, on TikTok, I saw this thing. Or, me and my friends, we talked about this thing. You know what I mean? So they're still, they can try to get rid of it if they want to. I don't think it's going to, yeah, I guess in school it is. I guess it is going to work,
No, this new generation is not getting its ideas about progressive politics from the university. It just is not, because they don't let us live there. They don't. They can't. It's just not a system that is workable anymore.
Yeah, but what does that do to this generation, though, right? Like, what does it mean when they can't trust and don't have trust in media companies, in universities, and their educational systems?
I fucking love it. This is where
right?
it needs to be. This is where we need to be. This is the correct direction. That's what I think.
I wonder what my son's going to do, actually, because he's really critical race theory. As far as white folks did this thing, to black folks, they brought slaves over. So he's really iffy, and he wants to be a history teacher. And he's really outspoken.
So he's not going to have any kind of job when he gets older.
Also, here's the other thing. He can be a
history YouTuber.
Yeah, he could.
Here's the other thing. All these folks who were professors, or who were intellectuals, who are intellectuals, remain intellectuals, are getting out there and creating their own things, creating their own worlds, creating their own organizations, creating their own YouTube channels, whatever. this is sort of the underground, subversive information, the sources of of information, of subversive information that's out there. And yet these professors or ex-professors are putting some stuff out there. So
that's good. But that's really good to hear. And then but the issue is we're seeing like YouTube, and we're seeing like Facebook and all these places come down on independent media that's doing stuff like this. You know what I mean? It's,
right.
Especially, I mean, I've seen where people have like, even about the the Israel-Palestine topic, because it's in the news lately. We've seen people, like I've seen people online have to put like $$R, you know what I mean, just to name their videos creatively, just to get people to watch their stuff. It's
they have to make up the names because they'll get demonetized.
Yes, they'll get demonetized. They'll get like and then like on YouTube, it used to be the algorithm, you whatever you subscribe to, news media wise, it would show up. But now if you just type in like the latest current event, it just brings up CNN, MSNBC, Fox, those things. So yeah, it's crazy. It's like from all fronts, it's like trying to stop this,
And then they just jerked away that the award from Angela Davis. Oh. She was gonna get an award. God damn it, I should have looked this up before I said it. But they dropped her for her pro Palestine stance in the let's see. Anybody else see it?
I'm looking it up.
All right, let's see.
I'm just guessing this, but Angela Davis couldn't care less. I'm just guessing.
I bet you.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
She is a revolutionary. She's amazing.
Doesn't care.
She couldn't care less.
I'm saying this is just a guess, and perhaps I'm overstepping, but
you're right.
I just can't imagine her caring.
But it's just another thing, though. It's just like Cornel West. It's just like the woman who was denied tenure. It's just like, what? And Ayanna, was it Ayanna who got yelled at for the things she said?
Diana Presley speech.
Yeah. I mean, and the young woman who was thrown off the Wilder, her name was Wilder, and she was a journalist at AP, and she got thrown off the AP team because of something she had tweeted years before, I think, even at least way before she worked there.
And remember when Obama fired Helen Thomas for her statement? I mean, there is a definite. This is the norm. We have hive mind mentality in the United States because we're the board.
So I love this. We were talking about boards of directors. Here it is. The group, the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, first announced last fall that Professor Davis this is New York Times, would receive January 29, 2019, would receive the award, but its board walked the decision back on Jan 4 and made criticism over her support for a boycott of Israel. Boards of directors, majority white boards of directors, majority property boards of directors. Those are the ones who make the decisions in this country, period.
And they're tough fun babies. They sit there and make money by doing absolutely nothing. They might as well be on the board of directors.
They got nothing else to do.
And I don't want to get into I don't want to, never mind. I'm not going to go there. I don't want to name people.
I ain't naming names.
You got to make up some names.
I got to figure out how to change the details of that story for it not to
be so obvious.
Incriminate someone.
Ooh, I want to hear it now. Now I really want to hear it.
Just imagine Rome and how corrupt it was, and then just realize.
Okay, I can keep this. So universities have board of directors, right? And these directorships pass on from generation to generation. So a grandmother is on the board right now. Her daughter, and they all go to the same university, right?
And it
goes to her daughter, then it goes to the daughter's daughter, and it keeps getting passed down.
But at least it's matrilineal.
In this particular case.
Monarchical shit is that?
Well,
That's-
dude, that's the United States.
Yeah.
Your favorite actor and their parents were in Hollywood.
And you know how they
Look up your
get there?
favorite politician and their parents
Yeah,
were.
and you know how that person had gotten the spot on the board? They had given millions of dollars to the university to build a new building. And that secures generationally, intergenerationally, a seat at the board of directors. And the board of directors basically makes decisions about whether a professor gets to stay or not at the end of the day.
It's a meritocracy.
Yeah, that's what we're called. God bless
This is
America.
Yeah, this is America.
Okay, so I have to say this. So about 20 years ago, I had this crazy idea that I could leverage my way into a high-end school. And I actually went and interviewed at, I'm just going to name them because what the hell, Yale and Princeton. Neither one offered me a grad school position. I was rejected by both, but I still got to go talk to some of the professors. And so I'm in the office and Yale was first. And there's this gorgeous young professor that I'm interviewing with, and I'm just like, what is she, 29? You know, like I'm thinking, how does a 29-year-old get a tenure track position? I don't think she had tenure, but a tenure track position at Yale. Like, doesn't she need to go cut her teeth somewhere and then work her way up? Didn't she need to get some publications under her belt first? So I asked her point blank, I go, I gotta know, you know, like, you're pretty young. How do you have this position here? And she goes, oh, my dad had it. And I went, what? I go to,
This doesn't mean that she's not brilliant.
she might be a genius.
Yeah.
That's
It
regardless.
doesn't matter. The point is
Yeah, exactly.
advantages.
Advantages. So then I go to Princeton the next day, and there's this young professor. And so I go, so I gotta ask, what are you, 29? How do you have this position?
Also, I'm just, you have put two and two together, right? These questions probably cost you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like, you're a dumbass. So she goes, oh, my dad had this position. And I was just blown away. Like, really? This is cool. And that was about the time when I started to realize that the entire United States was just a giant noble system like the British had. It's just, we don't say Baron and Duke and Earl.
Again, this doesn't mean that hardworking folks don't sometimes find their way in if they keep their mouths shut, head
Play the
down.
game.
And that also doesn't mean that Angela Davises don't get to become tenured professors. They
That's right.
do. They are huge exceptions.
I mean, isn't that the same thing that's happening with Cornell West, though?
Exactly.
I mean,
Cornell
That was-
West does not have tenure, and he comes up every 10 years, and they deny him the opportunity to even
It is
become
so
tenured.
fucked up.
Yeah.
It is so fucked up what they do to that man. I mean, I've got some issues with him, but Jesus Christ, people.
And then Norman
Yeah, but-
Finkelstein,
So
they did this to
just
him.
imagine if this is the fate of Cornell West,
Mhm.
our top intellectual. There's like 4 or 5 like Cornell West,
He's there. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Imagine what the rest of us
Yep.
are dealing with. It's an impossibility. Again, if you keep your mouth shut, walk between the lines and head down, if you remain within the boundaries that the propertied sort of board of directors set for you,
Mhm.
you are good. In fact, you are really good. They will parade you everywhere.
Yeah, they don't want you to add anything necessarily. They just want you to do what they say and execute their
There
plan.
are boundaries. There are boundaries that are set, and we all know them, and we know when we transgress.
Mhm.
And if you don't know, just don't do it. This is the message. If you're wondering, just step back.
That's right.
And if you don't step back, and if you transgress, you fall on their radar. Next thing you know, you're out of there.
So I'm going to give you an example of this. So it was the Gaza massacre in 2008, 2009. So it was December and January. I don't remember the final death toll, but it was something like 1,300 Palestinians were murdered. And there was a rally at UT, much worse than the event that just happened, where there was a rally at UT in support of the Palestinians. And I showed up in a suit. And so a UT professor, a tenured UT professor, walks right up to me. And a news agency had just interviewed me. So, like it was pretty obvious that I was probably a professor. So the guy walks up to me because he doesn't know who I am. And he starts asking me questions. And as I'm giving them the answers, he actually coaches me in a better way to phrase it, in a better way to say it. And I'm like, dude, thanks. Like, I love this. This is like a practice event for my next news interview.
Yeah.
And he's gone through, and then finally, he, because he keeps asking me, why are you doing this? Why that? And I give him the answer, and he goes, well, why don't you phrase it this way? And finally, I go, are you going to join us? And he goes, no. And he walks away. It was so clear he was totally on our side, but he was never, ever going to make a public show of it. Because even though he has tenure, technically he has nothing to fear. We live in constant fear. And we know that the ACLU is only going to save you some of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you clip yourself enough, you become clipped. That's it. You become that person.
Yeah. What I'm curious about is the other side of this that you spoke about, how folks are increasingly sort of divesting their, not divesting just financially, but divesting their sort of the stake, the claim, all that stuff that they put into these institutions that aren't accommodating them, right? So academics are leaving and they're creating alternative parallel institutions in some sense. What's going on there? What is that looking like? What potential does it have?
I mean, that's what I did, right? I recruited Ramesh to do this, who is brilliant. And Ramesh was in the same school that I was in. And I just stepped out, and I was like, before leaving or being kicked out, depends on how you look at it. I could have stayed or moved over to another academic institution and kept begging and being beaten down. So I like to say that I left academia. What happened is we just set up an institution. Now I work with universities. I do research on my own terms. The verdict is still out as to whether our research is going to get funded the way that we do it and all of that. But we do podcasts. This is one of the podcasts that we air. We say what we want. We do what we want. This is
yeah, and you're not the only one. There's other folks.
There's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of us out there, and academic sort of organizing is a thing. It is a thing, and a lot of academics keep it hidden because they have to survive in their jobs, and we have to strategize. But I mean, we're getting kicked out anyway. So many of us are contingent, and you will, chances are you'll never get out. And by contingent, I mean that you are either adjunct or you are visiting, and year to year you go up for getting your contract getting renewed or not getting renewed based on who knows. We know what it's based on.
And now in Texas we have tenure review, and we've actually lost some talent because some professors said, screw this, we don't want to be part of this, and they've walked away.
Why would you? That's the whole fucking
So imagine if I had stayed at the university teaching feminist philosophy and critical race theory, given what has just passed at the legislature
in that town. I'm sorry, but not to give
in Georgetown. Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, what would that have looked like? Already I had students like who were belligerent.
You had belligerent students at university? I'm sorry.
I had a
encountered
white boy. I had a white boy come to my office one time, and we were just talking about socialism. I was teaching Marx, and it wasn't like it wasn't a Marxism class. It was I had just picked some philosophers to focus on, and Marx was one of them. Okay, we spent a little more time on Marx, fine, but he kept coming back to my office, and it kept getting elevated every time he would come back. And at some point I had to be like, okay, that's great. And I just backed down, and I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I engaging with this boy? Like, I don't want to do this.
What can you do?
I can't imagine.
Like, I have no stake in this game. I don't care if you change your mind, whatever. And I just said, okay, that's great.
Is that need to be right? What is that? I mean,
For him, it was also, a lot of it was misogyny. He just could not stand me, and a lot of it was also racism. Here is this brown woman in the classroom telling me that my world needs to be turned upside down and that my whole people are wrong. I'm like, oh.
And she can fail me or not. It doesn't have anything to do with my performance.
No, in fact, he was very sure that he could go to the upper crust of the university and get me in trouble.
Probably could.
He went that far.
Yeah.
Right.
So he knew I couldn't mess with his grade. He knew and I wouldn't. But
no, of course not. But that he's like one of those kids who says, though, I failed because of the teacher hated me instead of, I suck. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. My favorite was, I need you to read my paper out loud in front of me. Oh no, my goodness. So the very first day he comes to class, he doesn't even know me. He says, I told Roy, he says, Miss, Dr. M, I'm just, well, oh my God, how did he say it? He said something, he doesn't even know me. It's the first day of class. Is this a class where if I don't agree with you, you will fail me? Because I had this reputation. So he knew he was stepping in. Maybe I don't know why he came to that class. I think he wanted a fight. He wanted to put me in my place. I hardly ever got students who would sign up for me. And there was a waiting list. Why would you go through the trouble?
Yeah. What was the name of the class, Benefshe?
It was an elective. I think it was like intro to philosophy or something. I think it was intro to philosophy. So we just picked some philosophers and we went deep.
Yeah. Okay.
And Marx was one of them. Like, if you didn't like this, why are you even signed up?
Yeah, he had to do some research on that. It's like, yeah, I took this teacher. And,
all she did was teach socialism.
Well, I'm going to go in there and show her. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go and show her.
And the first day of class, I said, this is a class where we critique liberalism. If you think you have issues with this, leave. I was right out there. I was like, there's this is where we are in our political philosophy in the United States. We are into liberalism, entrenched, and not seem to be going anywhere. So what I'm doing in this class is bringing in other ways of being political in the world. If y'all have trouble with that, I suggest you leave.
So he wasn't coming from a conservative point of view. He's coming from there's nothing wrong with liberalism.
Oh no, he was not liberalism liberalism as in laissez-faire, that
capitalist.
Yes, capitalism is basically.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So this is totally different.
One of the irritating things about the English language and ideology is liberalism includes the liberals, populists, libertarians, and conservatives.
Yes.
So
okay.
Those four ideologies are sub-ideologies of
with
liberalism.
a capital L as in political philosophy. Yes.
Gotcha.
So we've been here before. This moment that the United States is in at this moment, we've seen it many times in the human experience. The two times that come up that are sort of the most obvious for me are 391 AD in the Roman Empire and 1492 AD in Spain. And what happened in the Roman Empire is Emperor Theodosius issued a decree declaring that the Roman Empire was no longer for non-Christians. And then Archbishop Theophilus issued that decree in Alexandria, and that led to the burning and destruction of the Great Library. Mm-hmm. And the event was absolutely catastrophic for the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire never recovered because it intentionally decapitated itself. Mm. In the case of Spain, what happened was Isabella was looking for an economic source. She needed money. And what she realized was she could leverage the Inquisition, which had never been officially, it had been on paper implemented by Isabella a few years earlier, but it had never actually been in practice implemented. The Inquisition was 2.5 centuries old by the time she gets to the point where she's going to implement it in Spain. What she realized she could do is she could plunder Jewish families, because what would happen is she would declare Spain in 1492 that Jews could not live in Spain proper. They could live in the Canary Islands, they could live in any Spanish possession, they couldn't live in Spain itself. And so their options were convert, die, or leave. And so a group leave, right? They go to Morocco. Over time, another group ends up in the Netherlands when the Spanish end up with the Netherlands. So think Spinoza, right? Spanish Netherlands. And then there's a group that converts, and they become called conversos. Well, they're the literate, and they're the educated, and they're the guys who had the businesses. So what she could do is she could have the Inquisition examine the conversos to see if they actually truly converted or not. And then no matter what, you're going to find something on a person if you dig hard enough, and you can pretend that they didn't convert. Even if they did, who cares? And then the state can seize their assets, and then that becomes a permanent income source for her. But the problem, of course, is now you're executing your smartest segment of your population. 10 years later, they apply it to the Moriscos. The Moriscos were the Muslims who converted, because Spain declares that Muslims also can't live in Spain proper. They have to get out. And so the Inquisition never killed anything but Christians, but it killed a bunch of Muslim converts and Jewish converts to Christianity. And they were by far the smartest segment of the population. And so what ends up happening is Spain ends up with a hive mind conservative culture that's deeply Catholic and completely fanatically Catholic, but is also completely incapable of innovating. And they're ultimately the Spanish Empire collapses because it can't sustain itself, because it can't innovate, because it can't adapt, because it's filled with morons. And that's what the United States is in the process of doing. Now, for the record, the United States has always had a profound hatred of intellects. If you look at TV shows and movies, right, the villains are always super geniuses who are set to destroy America because they get some kind of crazy idea. And so there's always been this sort of running anti-intellectual theme.
Yeah, my favorite is Bart Simpson and his dad.
And then we valorize morons, especially moronic men. And so there's been this constant ongoing anti-intellectual theme, but there's always kind of been this, well, but we'll tolerate it. And I think what's now happened is conservative ideology in the United States has reached the point where after 40 years of Reagan education cuts, we are dumb enough that we can be manipulated into thinking, I don't need science. The earth is flat. There's no evolution. We should take rights away from women. Racism doesn't exist. I'm colorblind. And I want to live in this crazy fantasy where white people made America useful and Native Americans sucked Santorum. And that, right, that's where we are. And I hate what immigrants are doing to the country. And for the record, so do I. They're not speaking Cherokee. They're not speaking Apache. They're not speaking Ojibwa. I mean, immigrants suck for not learning native languages.
And those Black people should be thankful that they were brought over as slaves.
Exactly. Especially because if you rank order the net wealth of Black people in the United States and compare it to Africa, and African America was its own separate state, they would be like 10th wealthiest Africa, because there's like 9 African states better off. But somehow we have it in the narrative that they're so much better off being here, which is a lie. Facts will set you free. Look up data. Data matters.
I don't know anymore if that's true. I don't know if that's true anymore.
Data. Yeah. Who needs
I-
data in science?
Well, seriously. I mean, I do think that that's going to end up being what happens. I think that if it goes unchecked, then yeah, who does need it except for the people who are in charge and building things? You know, nobody else needs. You don't need to know how to read. Why do you need to know how to read? You just need to stay home and, you know, have babies and keep your man hungry. It's just it's like they had this sweet spot in the 50s, right? They're desperately trying to get back to bubble gum and apple pie and baseball and and the Negro League, you know.
Get your own league, Negroes.
What the fuck is happening? I really don't understand why we're going back there. I don't understand what other than the, you know, okay, so Dave Chappelle said something the other day. I saw him do a bit, and he was talking about how if he had, like, he got paid one night to do this comedy club, and he got like $2,500 it all at once in cash. And he got on the subway and he was going home and he was like, this is terrifying. You know, if any of these people knew what I had in this bag. And then he said, and then I thought, what if I didn't have money, but I had vagina in this bag?
What?
Had what?
See, everybody wants that, right?
Wait, what?
Wait, we didn't
we
hear
can't
you.
hear you. Yeah.
See,
Oh.
Vagina.
Yeah.
Vagina.
Let's do
Vagina.
Moderna at first too.
Moderna. What if Moderna? No, but I mean, and it's the same kind of thing though, right? But you can't hide that. And he said that's what women go through every day, is they have to be aware that they have something on them that they are trying to keep safe. And they have to, and he's like, I've never been in that kind of situation.
By the way, just for
Experience.
fun, one time I went to the bank. We were gonna go watch a movie in Cairo.
Oh shit.
And we needed cash because we were gonna pay for a trip in cash. I needed my travel agent needed cash. So I go to the bank. It's probably like 11 p.m. PM, not AM.
Yeah, just as subscript here. The city comes to life after 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And it stays awake.
Like the movie theater didn't even
throughout.
open till midnight.
They had, yeah.
And, you know, it's Tuesday night, 3 a.m. and people are taking their families to the restaurants.
Why?
Yeah. You know, like there's little kids.
It's called life.
What time do they go to work?
Whatever.
Oh, what work?
Do they? What work?
You work to live. You don't live to work.
Cairo is a party city. Like it is. Everybody is always laughing, telling jokes. They get all in your business. Everybody knows everybody. It's like I think it's the 5th largest metropolitan center on the planet, but everybody acts like it's a small town. And, you know, you get into a taxi cab and the taxi cab driver talks to you like he's known you for 20 years. And you're going to be telling jokes before.
I can't wait to have this program from Cairo.
It would be amazing. So I go to the bank, I take out my $1,000 in cash, stick it in my front pocket. And I'm walking to the movie theater and everyone go, oh my God.
Oh, wait. It's not like people are separated. It's hordes of, it's
Just
like
think New York
everybody's
City.
like this.
Yeah.
In
Just
each
bumping each other, right? And walking, because it's 11 p.m. So everybody's out. So the city is completely packed with people. And I go, oh my God, I have $1,000 in my front pocket. And the next thought is, oh, it's Cairo. No big deal.
However, with a vagina, I never felt that. I did not feel safe.
See what I'm saying?
So, but I'll tell you something. I had a nasty look on my face at all times.
Good.
You don't look men in the eye and you have a growl.
I try to look like I have
She's
herpes.
really good at the ground.
Oh yeah. I have 18 years of training in Iran.
Nice. I generally just try to look like I have an incurable STD.
Oh my God.
What is the facial expression for that, Susie?
I know.
No, this is my look for. You even look at me, I'm gonna punch you in the face.
That's good. That's good. I would run. I would run.
I'm at it. Man.
I saw the look and fell instantly in love.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of just along those lines, the sexism and the being fearful. We were talking earlier about Ted Cruz and how he was
Oh my God, yes.
so offensive about our military, that we are, that's all we talk about is how great our military is, and it's because everybody comes from all over, and we have men and women and all of these, the best of the best come in, and anybody can fight for their country. And we've got a long time trying to do that, trying to let women in, let gays continue to serve, transgender. And then Ted Cruz comes out and says
Our favorite Texan.
we're effeminate. Our
Okay,
military is effeminate.
here let's run the thing he ran.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. What do I do? This one? Okay, we'll make it big screen.
Yeah, let's go.
Wait,
Yeah.
it didn't do it.
What is this? That looks crazy.
Did it do it?
No, wait,
Yeah,
wait.
it's there.
You're good.
Is it big screen?
No.
Yeah. Well,
Вопросы могут остаться без ответов. Но
Why does it keep doing that?
It doesn't like that.
You are sharing a screen. Stop.
Okay, fine. Just don't make it big.
Okay, don't make it big.
Just go here and
вопросы могут остаться без ответов. Но разве ты сможешь познать себя? Познать границы своих возможностей? К черту границы. А без боя нет победы.
Okay, I just messed it up again.
we're gonna have to edit this out.
Yeah. No, we can. They can
Без боя нет
survive.
победы. В самом деле, главный враг — это плачер выследить врага, догнать его, превзойти, стать лучше, чем он.
It's like a
It
movie.
begins in California with a little girl raised by two moms. I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age. To marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength. I'm U.S. Army Corporal Emma Malone Lord, and I answered my call.
I have problems with both of them.
I have so many
Yeah.
problems with both of them. But I gotta tell you,
I
as a
like neither
dude,
one.
that Russian one is good.
Let's do this.
Right?
What did
Let's
Tex
do this.
say about
Putin.
this?
I want to join right now.
Ted Cruz,
They're effective.
Ted Cruz, he said that the Army is projecting the image of pansies. He said we were
He said
pansies. Pansies. He says we're pansies.
As a pansy, I object to that. What the fuck is that?
A pansy
name
is a
is Pansy.
flower, a wilting flower, a pretty little thing that doesn't live out of water for longer than a few minutes. So
Fuck that
that's-
shit. Pansies, pansies.
It's also a gay slur.
I know. But pansies are very special flowers.
They grow in
They're
the winter.
perennials. They grow in winter. They have stems that are this big with faces this big, and they last forever. They do not
Yet
wilt,
another.
and they do not live in water.
No, well, that's what his, yeah. So he needs to do some more research on his metaphors. I'm gonna say.
That's an American thing, right?
So yeah.
Going at the
Yeah, he
pansies.
said that we're seeing Democratic politicians and these woke lefty bureaucrats and lefty media reporters trying to destroy the American military, trying to turn it into frankly, a bunch of pansies. So
Yeah.
old Kremlin Cruz, Cancun Cruz, the man who cannot button his suit and sit down at the same time, is going to call us a bunch of pansies. I'd love to see
What
him
was his
try to.
military career like? I don't remember. Was he a Marine?
No, his father killed Kennedy.
Cruz Military career. Military.
I will say, as a Zodiac killer, he has extensive experience.
Nice.
Let's see. Legal
Dang.
career. I don't see a military career. Am I
Really?
He wasn't a Marine?
Well, what about that combat video he did, like the Discovery one he did?
No,
months
no
ago?
military career whatsoever. Yeah. Mhm.
I kind of feel like that's one of the things about the United States that fascinates me. What is it? 7% of the entire US population has been in the military or is in the military now. And yet we're like this flag waving, hoorah, rah, I can't wait to send you to go murder black and brown people so we can plunder that country and bring that shit home so that we can be lazy ass, unworking shitheads who won't learn native languages and somehow be filthy rich and have widescreen TVs and SUVs that never have passengers.
And go on vacations where when there's a natural disaster going on in our state and we're supposed to take care of it because
Take it
Only seven.
anymore.
people.
Yeah,
We're
only
leaving our dog
7%
at home and we're
more.
going to Cancun.
Yeah.
At least he didn't put the dog on the roof.
No, that was Mitt.
Romney.
That was Romney.
So only 7%. The way they act, you would think it would be more than that,
Yeah.
right?
It might be
Which-
9%. I know it's one
Even
digit.
then.
I would have thought it was double digits.
No,
Yeah, double.
I would have
exactly
too, the way these people act. They're all a bunch of, like flag waving neo-Nazis and with shaved heads, and none of them have actually served in shit.
Yeah.
Y'all, I think we've gone an hour and 15 minutes now.
Oh,
We want to wrap up.
So I am at the point in my life where I don't care if there's a heaven. I just want there to be a hell, and I want hypocrites in there. Hypocrites and child rapists need to be in hell.
Which circle? I think it should be the deepest, darkest circle.
Oh, that's
And people who talk in movie theaters.
Can we just expand that to all rapists?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And people who enjoy the
Well,
death.
I think all rapists. Yeah, like
a special place for child rapists. You're right.
And hypocrites, just all hypocrites.
Yeah.
I hate them. And yeah.
Human condition, I think.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
On
that note, I know it's going to be hot.
Comment and tell us about your favorite circle of hell.
Man, mine's just in the video games, probably. This game called Shadow Man. Go look it up. Man. But any closing remarks from anyone?
I did mine.
You did yours. You did. Susie, Ramesh.
Just that purgatory sounds real comfortable.
Yeah,
these
purgatory.
days. Just relax in purgatory.
Limbo is a nice kind of idea right now.
Yeah, compared to these Texas summer heats, right? It's not the same thing.
God, I'm not even
Getting
looking
ready,
forward.
gearing up.
Nope.
I just want to say I'm thankful for y'all.
Back at
Thank
you.
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, back at you. All right. Man,
Thanks for
all
starting
righty.
off our week so well, everyone.
Exactly. And on that note, we will see you on the next episode of RPM Red Peace Machine. Thank you. Have a great start of your week, rest of your week. Yeah. Take care.
Happy Memorial Day.
Yes, happy Memorial Day.
Bye.
Bye.